think, can everyone hear me okay? Hello, welcome in. Yeah, see some familiar usernames in here, which is always nice. Hello. Yes, this will be recorded. We'll put it on our YouTube. Don't know if it's gonna be on here on Twitch. I don't know how to do that, but yeah. I forgot I had this. Sorry to spook you. I am Jay. Yes, correct. I go by the pronouns of he, they. I will be doing a little agenda here in just a second, but yes, I go by Jay. I'm the InkBlot founder, so yeah, good question. I guess I'll pop in the chat. If you're new here, you can find out all about the team here at our About Us section, which is also basically, something that we have for everyone to read up on the company, and you can find all of my links there. Find out the support team, and hopefully we'll get our moderator team on there as well. Maybe, perhaps. Okay, it's my first town hall. I am in the server. Oh, cool. Yeah, we do this one particularly every quarter. This will be our first one of the year, so and also the first one after such an explosion of growth since November, last November. So this one is pretty big, yeah. So, hello. Hi, Fang. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to waste any time here. As you can probably see, the pinned message or the pinned link there is the Q&A form. That is a form that we're using so that you can give feedback. It's going to ask a couple of questions about the company, your experience so far, and then have that kind of feedback box there at the bottom, so that you can ask any questions that you want to go over here on the stream today. That Q&A will be toward the end, and that's how this typically goes. We start off with obviously introduction, some recent happenings that the company has faced and went through, and then we talk about each topic of finances, how development is going, how other places in the company are going as well. So that's what we get done. So yeah. So okay, So just I guess take a second to get the form up if you're interested in submitting. Again, it's anonymous. It only acts as it does like a 5-star rating for a couple of things, and then it has that feedback box at the bottom that you can type in. It should be viewable for mobile and desktop, so everything should be accessible. Okay, so thank you for hosting and developing an art site that cares this much about its community. No problem. Yeah, I mean, I think that we're strongest when we're community oriented. There's nothing like community. I mean, I'm very community oriented, even in other spaces that I'm in. It's just important. You just can't do things alone. I mean, you can, but it's a hard time, and we're stronger together. So, but anyway, let me get this started really quick. For those that don't know, I am Jay Brown. I go by the pronouns of he, they. I am the InkBlot founder. I started InkBlot back in May of 2020. And I did the first prototype, I coded the logic, did all that good stuff for the first closed beta. That was the first 2-ish years, should I say, or Yeah, the first two-ish years was me doing this all by myself. I invited team members back in June of 2022. 2022. Yeah. And we still have some of those members on the team as of right now. The team really grew back in October, and then really grew a lot more in November, December. So we currently have 14 team members. Very excited. We have three teams. If you don't know, we have our development team, we have our support team, and we have our moderation team. It's very important that these things are separated. The development team should not have much interaction with what's going on with support because they need to focus on development. Support teams shouldn't have what's going on with moderation because they are focusing on support, answering questions, account issues, things like that. And moderation team shouldn't have anything to do with those two teams so that they can focus on moderation. So it's very important that those three teams are separated, but somehow functioning together, right? I oversee all three teams. We don't really have like a managerial team, I guess, or level of things. We are very small. Our moderation team, shout out to them. It's mostly consist of volunteers. So thank you so much. If you're a volunteer and you're watching, thank you so much. It is unbelievable uh, how the process has gone so smoothly ever since I've onboarded the volunteers. Um, Thank you so much. I just cannot express my gratitude enough, especially when I was doing this for the first 2 years by myself. Those reports and everything, trying to take care of every side of this was very difficult. But the moment that I have trained you all and got you on board, and just seeing how we knocked out all of those reports back in November when we had a huge rush, that was just amazing. Wow, I sleep so much better. You don't understand. But enough about that. I know I already say thank you enough in the Slack channel for the team. But yes, so InkBlot has three teams. That's all that we can handle, or that's all that I can manage and handle. And we are just moving along with about 14 individuals. The development team is myself and a external developer. They are basically a contractor that we have worked with since our Kickstarter in October of 2021. Shout out to our Kickstarter backers. We wouldn't be here without you, literally. And yeah, we got most of our growth back in November of last year, literally a couple months ago. We were at 5,000 and we exploded to 20,000, and then we exploded further from that. One second here. Okay, yeah. So we exploded further from that, going forward into like we're now sitting at about 23,000 users. So a lot of growth within the last few months. We reached some point of being funded back in that month as well, in early December. This is huge for us. We our funds from the Kickstarter became exhausted around September, uh, and even prior to the Kickstarter, those funds, the funds for the company, only came from me. I'm a freelance graphic designer. At that time, I was only doing freelance graphic designing, and my company, my racing company. And that was a pretty much only on me until the Kickstarter. It's an expense that of course I would have taken on if we didn't get funded, and of course I still take on even now, where we have pitfalls, where the being funded, or the funds that we have from the income or revenue that we make perhaps, there's a spike, or, there's an extra fee or what have you, an unexpected bill, that does fall on me. And that's really it. There's no loans in here. There's no, extra funds or revenue or investors. We are community owned and community funded. So everyone, if you're in here and you're a pro member or a subscriber to our Patreon or our Ko-Fi, thank you so much. It literally goes into the company. The only people that are paid in this company are the support team, who are 2 members that take care of the email and everything else like that, helping with account issues and questions, and our developer. Yeah, that is it. So I won't be getting paid until this thing is completely off the ground, and that is something that I do. I say all the time and very often. So we basically, that's pretty much the rundown of current things going on, the rundown of how do I play on all into this, and what's our history and everything. That link that I mentioned earlier, inkblot.app.info, that is our info link, basically our landing page. So you can find out all that information and a little bit more details, timelines, if you go to that link. So that's everywhere pretty much. So you'll find that. That's in our About page. So if you go to the web app, inkblot.art, you'll go to the About section. That link is the same one. So I try to keep that as updated as much as possible. So anyway, so to get into our agenda today, we always start with development, because that is pretty much the biggest of the updates. Development is going pretty well right now. Right now, it's a little bit slower only because we are working on the infrastructure. So basically, how the system and the servers talk to the devices, how the server talks to the database, the workflows and processes that go into that. So basically, we are redoing that. We were doing that even before November, which is why I kind of did the latest events first, because now you understand that we hit most of our growth in November. And so that has caused a lot of, slowdown, a lot of crashing on our app and stuff like that. And we are aware of that. We get the analytics for that. We get the reports in the background. The system tells us. That has a lot to do with the infrastructure. The infrastructure was not meant to handle 20,000 users so fast. So with that, we were working on it, but that, a couple of tweets kind of, went around and went viral just a little bit, maybe semi-viral. I don't know what viral is or what the definition would be. But basically, it went overnight. So, our infrastructure is holding quite well. It's doing good, but it's the only thing is the slowdown. So in terms of security, in terms of, just security data, that's fine. That's fine. We're focused on being able to handle the speed. That is the issue here with the infrastructure. If you don't know already, we use only Google-based products. So we have Firebase, we have Google authentication, we have the 2FA security. That's all done through our database, and everything is done through Google products only. Top of the line. It's as expensive as it is, that I'm not going to take a risk on that. So that is something that we won't take. We won't try to be cheap about. So our infrastructure is holding strong, but it could be better. That is for sure. So not everyone experiences those crashes. Not everyone experiences a delay in the speed. That's fine. But we could do better. And the infrastructure that we're currently working on right now, it will allow us to be able to handle 1 million users. Now, will we hit 1 million users within this year? I don't know. Now, our developer does say that he wants to hit 1 million users, but I always tell him, okay, hold your horses, buddy. Like, we can't really, I don't know about that much growth, but is it possible? Yes. There's people that have done it, but we are making sure that the infrastructure won't have a issue like this ever again. And it's better to plan for more than for less. So that's how we're doing things. Basically, that's what's going on right now. That's why we're having a little bit of a slowdown. Um, with in terms of like, thinking like, okay, why aren't you guys doing this? Why aren't you fixing this? You're doing updates, about a week. We do an update like 7 to 10 days. We're still trying to do the bug fixes and everything while we're doing this infrastructure revamp. So, that's where the delay comes in. It's like we're trying to do what's right in front of us, but we're also trying to do what we actually really need at the same time. So that's why development has been a little bit slow in this last month, and December into January, because of that. We're trying to really get that infrastructure done and settled. We're very close to it. We just did a social graph, which basically is a relationship thing. How if I'm follower A, and you're follower B and you're follower C, how does that data talk to each other? How fast is that data? What is that? What is that data doing? And what pages, what interactions need that data? So that social graph is basically, we implemented that already, and things are doing a bit better, but the social graph also has something to do with the home feeds and how that data is, displayed, what data is displayed, things like that. And basically that helps out with the speed as well as the caching. So caching on devices, caching on your web browser, just having that information already there without having to pull all of that bandwidth each and every single time you reload or log in or what have you. That is what we're working on. That is the infrastructure. So we're improving that, and we're improving that for the apps as well as the web app, and will be much better. So that is where some of this delay is coming from, but we are on the way. It's only the two of us, and I'm more so as a product manager, product owner. For those that don't know those terms, basically, I talk to you guys and then I talk to the developer, and I'm like, hey, the users want this, or hey, the users say that this could be better, or hey, this is what we need to do next. This is what we need to focus on next. So that is how I play into the development, other than just doing a little bit of coding here and there, fixing up little things, I don't think that, again, it's very important that the teams are separated. It's very important that everyone has their job. I wouldn't be able to talk to you this much if I was doing most of the development. And then that is where those pitfalls come, viewing other, startups or other companies that are trying to do the same thing as us. The communication is very important. It's the only way for us to know what you want, what you're looking for, if we're doing good. If I'm spending most of my time with my nose in the code, I wouldn't know what you guys want. So that is why I take a very big backseat on development now, ever since we got the Kickstarter. And it is very important that we have our developer and that he doesn't really have much communication with you, because I'm doing that. If he's constantly talking to you, nothing's being done in terms of development or updates. It's very important that everyone has their job. That is why, I say, our contractor developer, and, his name is Amir, if you really want to know. And he's great. We've been working with him since the Kickstarter, so we have a very good relationship. I talk to him every day. But again, it's important that we all have our job, we all do our things, and everyone is has their responsibilities. So basically that's that. That's it on the development side of things. If you have any questions, again, we have our Q&A form there. It's pinned in the chat. Make sure you want to throw them in. It can be about anything that I'm talking about, or if you can send as many as you want, doesn't matter to me. We'll go over it. The next on the list here is finances. So as I said, we literally just got funded without a Kickstarter, just kind of like revenue that we're making in November. That was the first time that we've ever been funded, like seeing money from our own, like fruitation from our own, from our own, it's not coming to me, but you understand. $2,260 right now is our budget in order for us to keep our head above the water. That is minimum. I'm not asking for anything. That is minimum in literally the sense that, like, all right, like the only cushion in there is literally $10. and that is to maybe cover an unexpected bill, or a fee or anything else like that. Otherwise, $250 is literally covers all bills, all expenses. That $10 extra is literally just a little bit of cushion. You can find all of our budget and where most of that money goes through our Ko-Fi on our Patreon. I say it all the time. I will be having a write-up pretty much in breakdown again. That breakdown is literally on the Ko-Fi and on our expenses for the Patreon and everywhere else. It's really public information. I post it a lot and everywhere. Our transparency for this company is very important to me. It's the only way to do things with this, especially if we're community owned and funded. If you have any questions about that, it's a breakdown in the sense that it's what we're doing, like what tools and everything else. We aren't specific as to what tools. Why? Because that would just let a hacker know, like, oh, well, they use this. Like, let me just figure out how to hack this. That's the only reason why I don't say which tool, but you'll know that this money is going towards tools, the development, platforms and everything else like that. So that's why I don't give you like a line by line breakdown. And that is very important for security measures. So otherwise, I do tell you the hourly rate of what our support team has done. It's $13.25. I tell you the hourly rate of our developer. It's $30 an hour. That is literally, if we're being quite honest, that is actually on the lower end of development. But he is aware of what we're doing and how we're going about it in our mission. So very grateful to Amir for helping us out and staying with us for the long run. But he does have other projects, and so he only sees about 35 hours. So it's just we do the best and the quickest that we can with the budget that we have. Now, could our budget be bigger? Yes, it should be bigger. But this is what we're doing at the minimum. This is like slower pace, but still kind of at a good pace. This is like enough to survive. That's really what we could do with how we're going about this. You know what I mean? There's really not, I want to ask for more, but that's not what this is about, right? This is about just what can we do to get by? And, of course, as the platform grows, that budget will grow, and that's the only reason why it grows. It's not because, oh, well, Jay is asking for more money to, get a yacht. No. Jay's asking for more money because we only have 2 support members and we desperately need a third because now we're about to hit 25,000 users. I ask my team constantly, hey, do we need another person? Are you guys okay? Do you feel like you're struggling with the workload that you have? That is the only reason why that budget increases. Another reason would be the servers. We're seeing a lot of activity. We're reaching a certain number of users, and now those storage is going up. The amount of submissions that we get per day is now going up. The bandwidth is now reaching about this level and staying about right there. And that is the reason why the budget goes up. The moment that more people support us, we'll be able to expand our team. But I'm going based off of bare minimums only. And again, that I don't get paid. We are off a volunteer team. And, there's only 3 people essentially that get paid. And I will say a 4th because we're switching out a support team member for a moderator lead to assist me with the moderation team since it is quite big. So we're trying to do this the best way that we can, efficiently, but yet we're not trying to axe and dig in people's pockets. InkBlot is definitely on the mission to be a creative home for creators around the world. I think we have numbers, we have budgets and breakdowns on what we could do and how much we would need to be able to, pay our moderator team, to be able to add a second developer, to be able to have a savings. But, again, I'm asking the bare minimum for us to keep going. Now, with that comes the idea of doing a membership drive. Most of the patrons and Ko-Fi members know that I've been talking about this for about a month or so. Living month to month, even as a person or individual, it's not cool at all. No, it's not. Now, a startup can definitely not do that. But it is what we do. All the donations that go towards us literally go right back into the company. All of these subscriptions and memberships that we get go right back into the company. Now, the membership drive is something that we are planning. I have been hiring some, onboarding or screening members, people that are trying to volunteer to help us with this membership drive. The membership drive is essentially going to be a kind of like Kickstarter or art Kickstarter, right? Oriented art Kickstarter. I don't know if we will be doing a Kickstarter type drive after this membership drive, but essentially we are looking for artists that will help us, and they will be able to do sketches. And everyone that donates to our membership drive to get us to basically a budget that will satisfy all of our expenses for a year. That is what the goal for that. It's literally, if you are aware of a Kickstarter back in October, the link is right there in the info. So I'll drop that info, that page again that I had earlier, because then you'll be able to get to the Kickstarter because it's there as well. So yeah, that Kickstarter was about $29,000. After the fees from Kickstarter, it was about $28,000. That lasted us about a year, almost heading to a year. But yeah, that was about a year's worth. The funds exhausted back in September. Kickstarter was prior to that year was in October. It lasted us a year. So we're trying to see if we can do another big drive like that would last us a year. So we won't be month to month, and that we can pay and have a bigger team and everything is satisfied. Now, as just a consumer, right? If I were to have a subscription and I pay the annual price, I get like 2 months for free or something like that. This helps with our budget. If we were to do our tools, our programs that we use, our help desk, things like that, if we were to pay them for an annual price, we save on that money, and we can put that back into either the server or we can put that into our payroll. So essentially, if we can pay all of our expenses up front, have our payroll savings, our payroll account stocked up, ready to go within the amount of hours that we currently do, which, if you don't know, our support team only does 4 hours a week. Our developer only does 35 hours in a pay period. These are the things that's the expenses and the breakdowns that I give. That budget would be basically that. It consists of everything that we have. So of course we'll have goals that like, hey, well, we'll be able to add another person here. We'll add another developer. That's really the big thing. And go from there. But this budget, the first one, our first goal will always be the bare minimum, and like, what do we need to be able to have us good for a whole year? All of our tools, all of our payroll. So that membership drive, again, we'll be working with artists, volunteer artists. They'll only be doing about 3 to 5 sketches, and the sketches should take literally, we say 15 minutes, but no more than 30. I know not everybody can work, whatever you define as a sketch, as an artist, whatever your sketch level is, we would, work with you on that. And it would be 3 to 5 sketches. And no more. You're not going to be a revolving door of sketches. It's literally just 3 to 5. And we say 3 to 5 because, like, if you are a person that's like, okay, I can only handle 3. Okay, cool. That's fine. You do you. That's fine. If you can do 5, you're gun-ho. You're like, yes, I can do 5. Fine. You do 5. But that's all that we're doing. Once you complete your 3 to 5 sketches, you're done. We have some rewards for those volunteer artists, of course, and with working with them and stuff. Whether that be a subscription on the site, you get like 6 months worth, or whether that be a badge on your account. And then I'm thinking of me personally from my own personal funds, sending out some stickers, posters, and maybe a t-shirt if I can afford it. So yeah, we'll be doing that so that volunteer artists are compensated in some way. But obviously we're not working them to death, right? So that would only be a first come first serve basis. But again, this is part of that type of drive so that we can get to that annual budget that we're trying to seek out and go into play. So how that goes is basically that first round will be the art drive. And then we'll be talking a little bit more to see if we need like a Kickstarter, which I keep saying Kickstarter, but a crowdfunder that will do physical rewards. But as many of you already know, I still owe pins and coffee mugs for our Kickstarter. I was talking about the last update that I had was back in November. And as you know, November was crazy. Let me actually show you my November schedule. I think sometimes it's a little funny to show the schedule. I do a lot of meetings. As you already know, I'm a guy that has multiple hats for this company. So a lot of the meetings are very, very interesting. And I will move on to a different topic just after I show you this November schedule. So, but I do already have the receipts and everything and timelines for that, and I will be updating the Kickstarter with those updates and timelines and dates, and finally satisfying all of the rewards. Everything else is done. Most people have been done since like last year, like early last year. But the pins and the coffee mugs, those have been on delay. I was like, yes, I'll get them out before Christmas. And then we had 20,000 users and I was like, oh my God. But unfortunately I'm the only one doing the Kickstarter reward stuff. And I don't know if this next crowdfunder, if we do a second round, which we'll probably have to do a second round after the art drive. I don't know if that's going to be something with the physical rewards or just digital. I don't know. I'll have to gauge interest first, but basically, yeah, that is something that we're thinking about. So, most of this has been revealed in the dev vlogs if you are Patreon or Ko-Fi, and I am very happy to say that the pro memberships, if you just have a plain old pro membership through the native site, we're working with Substack, a very nice, very intuitive and very friendly website that will be sending devlogs, updates, polls, and everything to your email. So you don't have to switch over to Ko-Fi or anything else like that to get that information. That's pretty new. I just announced that yesterday. So you'll be getting all those updates and everything, just like the Ko-Fi and Patreon folks do. And it'll be just right through the site. So as long as you have a pro membership through the site, you'll be there. If you want to stay on Ko-Fi, that's completely fine. This kind of leads me to my last point. Patreon, I don't say this on socials because I don't know if anyone knows, but Patreon does monitor your accounts on other sites. Very interesting. But I am been scared to say that on like Twitter or Instagram or something like that because they do take quite a bit. They yearly wise, annually, they take $852. They take about 16 to 19% every month. Yeah. So I know they advertise 8%, but the processing fees, I am not sure who, where, what processing company that they are using for such a dramatically high processing fee, which fluctuates. I've never seen it in my life. I with my other company, I work with a lot of different processing companies like Stripe and other ones. There's Payoneer. There is I think Pioneer. I think there's a couple of other ones. I've done my research even just for this company alone. Once we are able to start taking processing, payment providers, 16%. And it fluctuated. Back in October, it hit its highest at 19%. Yeah. So if you are supporting through Patreon, do not worry about it. You can stay there as long as you want. I do suggest, if you are able to and are comfortable doing so, switching to our Ko-Fi, you could do that. But again, this is not something that I'm saying on our socials, because I don't want them to do something to our account. I've seen them kind of mess with people's accounts because they post content on this or say this or do whatever, and I know that they're listening, so I don't do that. So forgive me if you don't see me promote Patreon on the socials as much anymore. I only started doing that as of this year. I wanted to just finish out the year promoting our Patreon, despite knowing that percentage. I also want to say I apologize for not catching this sooner. I know that your funds and your support is very essential to this company, and the finances are something that I oversee, and I apologize sincerely that I didn't catch this sooner. If I had known, I would have never done something like that. I would have never even put the company on that platform. But it was only when I was going over finances in October that I realized that they were taking that much. So again, I'm very sorry. I don't have an accounting background, but there is no apologies with that. That's not an excuse. I should have caught it sooner, and I'm sorry about that. So what we're doing in an effort for the membership drive is that basically we're going to offer anyone that switches over to Patreon, to Ko-Fi, or to the native site will get a reward for doing that in doing so. So again, you don't have to do it right away. If you want to wait for the membership drive to do that switch so you can get that reward, completely up to you. But yeah, so anyway, that was one of the big things on the agenda for finances. But otherwise, moving on to like team-based team dynamics. Basically, yeah, it's mostly right. But you would think that it's funny because Gumroad, they also do the same. Right? But they don't have such high fees. So, I would love to spend a conversation or a lot of time talking about, okay, why don't we know what the payment processor is? Who is it? That should be very transparent. Even Gumroad defines who they're using. Right, exactly. And yeah, with adult sites, technically. Yeah, no, and that's why the fee is so high. But let's think about it this way. I'm not posting or saying anything that is NSFW. Why am I getting processed with a fee because of XYZ? Why aren't Safe for Work accounts on Patreon separated to get a different fee? So, either way, the support that we get, the community support that we get, the user funds the revenue that we have, it is my responsibility to look out for the best interests of that and where it goes. So I take full responsibility for that. And if that is for me to say that, hey, we're done, we're not using this anymore, that is because I take very good care and I do my best to make sure that the funds are being used the most efficient and, the best way possible. And if that Patreon is being predatory in that way on our finances, then I need to. $852 is a lot of money. That covers literally all of our tools on an annual basis. That is a lot of money. That would host our server host fees would be covered for 4 months with $852. That's a lot of money. And they're not saying who is their processor. And that's concerning to me. I know maybe InkBlot is different in the sense that we tell you who are what we're using and where our finances are going, and who we're going with, and how we're moving forward, and what fees and everything. Ko-Fi tells you the same thing, so I can't really say that we're anything different. Gumroad tells you the same thing, even though they have high processing fees, but it never breaches 16%. That's an insane amount. So again, this is not about Patreon and everything else like that. This is just reasonings as to why. I'm telling you, I'm being very transparent as to why I'm doing this, why I'm trying to get away from Patreon. You have all right to know as the community that is supporting and funding this company. And I am telling you, as essentially your accountant for this company, your investment person that's overseeing your investment, I'm telling you, we need to get away from them. So, it's very interesting, and I think that if we were making more, as you already know, we are basically we are basically making about $650 on the Patreon. I don't hide any of the numbers on Patreon, so it's all public information. If we were making more, possibly that percentage wouldn't be anything. But the survival of this company does depend on, memberships and subscriptions, revenue that we get. So it's something that I have to look out for, unfortunately. So, it was a great question, and also very good insight. If for those that don't know, payment providers, there are payment providers that do allow adult content and that stuff. It just comes at a higher processing fee. So that's what we were discussing just now. Moving on just a little bit. Again, I mentioned briefly that the team. So I'm talking about the team now. Basically how that goes is, again, I told you to break down earlier. We have 2 support members, Rin and Angel. They are lovely. We have a third, Harper, who kind of bounces in and out. Everyone pretty much has, a job. They do this on the side. All of our people that are paid are considered 1099 contractors. We report all of our findings all of our compensation to the IRS. So we don't do anything under the table. Right now, currently, I am in tax season hell. I am making sure that everyone has all their numbers, all their 1099 NECs. If you're not familiar with that, that is basically the form that goes into to the contractor. If you're a contractor for a company, but you don't get any healthcare benefits, you don't get any time off, PTO, anything like that, you're not considered an employee as FSLA standards. That's the difference between a W-2 and a 1099, is that you don't get any of your taxes taken out of your check or your pay. So you are basically just a contractor. They pay you everything up front, and that's the contract that you sign. So I'm just making sure that those forms are accurate, correct. They're due at the end of the month, and that's basically what I'm working on. I've been doing that for the last 2 or so years, so I'm familiar with it. So that's just finances and stuff like that. Just a little bit of insight. We are welcoming on a 4th. We've always had 4 spots on our staff. So again, I mentioned earlier the moderator lead. They will be helping me with basically the moderation team. I do handle all 3 teams, but the moderation team is very big. We allow volunteers, a minimum about 2 hours a week, no more than 8 hours a month. Now I know that sounds really easy, but it's what we allow, and it's what we know that we feel comfortable offering. People offering their time and efforts towards our mission are valued very, very highly. I don't want to take advantage of them. So 2 hours, pretty much a week, I just need somebody to help me make sure that they're not doing more. And then also, of course, if you're offering your help, we need to make sure that you're actually doing those 2 hours minimum, right? So That's basically where that comes from. And the moderator lead will be assisting me with those teams, assisting me in enforcing the content guidelines and helping the team as well. So each volunteer is only an agreement of 3 months. So that's how that works, giving you guys a little bit of insight on how that all goes into things. Yeah. So when you send a report in, which thank you so much. If you do send reports, thank you so much. Yes, we that volunteer team handles those reports and sends out warnings, cases, strikes, whatever. So yeah, that moderator lead will be pretty much announced really soon. We just ended our applications yesterday, and I've been doing interviews for quite a while. I have quite a few left, and I'll be making my announcement soon. So yeah, that's how that goes. So again, I am a guy of many hats. I do a lot. I do the training, the onboarding, the hiring, the finances, the management. Currently, with other team stuff, basically, I am working on a team code of conduct, basically like a team handbook. Basically just, how we do things, what our team is like. We're purely all remote, so we just need something, processes like, hiring, onboarding, training, how to submit time off, even though, we don't have any PTO, but just giving me a heads up. So it's not like I'm confirming or denying anybody's time off. It's like, oh, just give me a heads up, and this is how you would do it. So a handbook, that's something that I'm working on. I am also working on improving our training for data compliance and security purposes. So that is another thing that I've been working on. It's a lot. I went to a seminar a couple of days ago. It was good that it was on Zoom or whatever, but that is just some of the things that I'm working on for the team, and what's going on in the team. So shout out to our team. Thank you so much for your help. It's really nice to see things being done. I log on and I see that some tickets are answered or whatever. It's such a night and day difference from when I was working by myself, and I appreciate the team. So make sure that if you guys are sending emails, there is a human behind that email. I know that the platform is in its early stages. Some things can be very frustrating. Just please be kind. That is all that I'm asking. Please be patient. It is just the 4 of us that are doing the support, and we do what we can. So again, we're approaching 23,000 users. Absolutely insane. We got a new Ko-Fi from Cooperation. Thank you so much, Cooperation. I don't know if you're in the chat, but thank you. Thank you. It's basically, like I said, we're a small team and we all do our own duties. But, when you break down that small team into even more teams, it's like, oof, it's like even smaller. So now 14 people in total, and then only 4 for support. And then it's only 10 on moderation, so. But yeah. Hopefully one day we'll be able to expand our team, but this is what we need for right now. Yeah. So as explained in the finances portion of this. So basically, I'm just gonna say again, we have a link for that Q&A portion of this, and I'm going to just get some water here because I do be doing a lot of talking. And I will just take a few minutes here just to get that done. If you have any questions whatsoever about things we've talked about, I swapped things around, so I'm going through Ko-Fi now. Oh, thank you. Lovely. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for that cooperation. Yeah, and I meant cooperation isn't your username, not cooperation isn't thank you for your cooperation. Yeah. So, we're just going to take a 3 minute, just give me 3 minutes, just some water, a little bit of a stretch. And we'll get into the sticker club. So that's one thing that that's one thing that we would be doing, that we'll be going over. We'll be going over, basically what we're expecting on our roadmap next. but just after this short break, and then we'll get into the Q&A. And then that'll wrap things up. So again, that link is pinned in the chat, and you just want to be able to do that, you know. Have you eaten yet? No. When I do these, I'm so nervous. So, you know, I'm glad that there's no camera underneath the counter or anything, because like my legs are like shaking. You know. But yeah, no, I haven't eaten yet. I fast a little. So I do fasting, intermittent fasting. And yeah, I haven't eaten yet, but it is time to break my fast soon. So I will get the sustenance soon, but we'll take a 3 minute. We'll be right back. And again, that will be 3 minutes that you can take to be able to put a request in the Q&A. Fill out that little form. I know it's like the 5-star rating thing, I know, but we do need to hear back about everything that we do. This is, again, a company. I run things as a company. If you don't already know, we're LLC, formed and established in Arizona, USA, and we don't do anything under the table. So, you know, basically fill out that form. Let me know how we're doing. You know, please be honest as well. I know sometimes feedback can hurt, or it can be frustrating or difficult, but it's what we do. It's how we can improve moving forward. If you don't already know, you know, please, you know, hit up our feedback board. That one is more in terms of like development wise, features that you would like, things that we could improve on with that feature that we have are existing, things like that. Yeah, so that's a feedback thing. I'll put that in the chat really quick before we go on break. It's only going to be 3 minutes, so just give me a few minutes. Okay, so that's the feedback board if you don't already know. It's not an account that's hooked up to your InkBlot account, unfortunately, but it only takes 2 seconds to make. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I think that was good enough. Alrighty then. One second. I think there we go. And okay, cool. Alrighty then. All right, so hopefully everyone can hear me now. Hopefully I'm muted right. But yeah, let me see. Don't know how to do the thing. Edit, select source. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so this was this portion. Coming back to the basically the sticker club stuff. And this is our sticker club. If you don't already know, we only post 2 to 3 months after we do it. So I say 2 to 3 months just in case we might just do 2 stickers to reveal and everything else like that. So they're only public after 2 to 3 months after revealing them. So yeah, I wish I hadn't planned as early as I should have, but I wish I had grabbed the December sticker, because here I'm packing those literally after this stream and sending them off. Basically, yeah, so you can do our sticker club through our Ko-Fi and through our Patreon. Yeah. And you can do it. There is a tier for that. And yeah, I think we got that here. I am sharing my screen, so for those of you that are watching or listening, and that is our Inksters tier, as well as the Squid tier. Those both get our sticker club. So yeah, and then of course on Patreon, same thing, same dealio. So basically, yeah, that goes. Everything goes towards the expenses and everything else like that, and we go from there. So yeah. So basically, that's that. Now I know that there was a little bit of a delay with the October and November sticker, because November was chaos again. But it's out. I shipped those out December 12th, and then we finally got people getting them about last week and this week, and it's been awesome. It's been really great. They are only posted like, the regular way, I guess, first class service. That's just stamped mail, so it takes about 7 to 10 business days. And I sent it out just before the holidays. And so if you're not US based, basically the mail only runs Monday through Saturday here in the US. And then after that, Sunday, it's always off on Sundays. And then obviously it's off on every holiday that we have here. And then what happens is, even though those holidays fall on a weekend, the following business day is considered the holiday. So we had a bunch of holidays that fell on the weekend. So then we had a bunch of holidays after that. So it was like the mail was stopping and going so constantly, and it just makes sense that the mail literally started being delivered a month later, like all the stuff, sticker club stuff. So, but with that, I am going to have a form at the end of this month. So next week, I think it's next week. Where all of our sticker club members can be able to fill out a form that says, hey, I didn't get XYZ. So that means that, if you, once we deliver the January stickers, announce the December stickers, you'll be able to have it so that everything is sent in with your January stickers. We'll be catching up and doing that. Now, if you're also a sticker club member, you probably saw our last post, and it was basically like switching to a bi-monthly thing. Someone had mentioned in the Discord doing a quarterly thing. It's not the idea that I should have had on there, but we're gonna try bi-monthly for this year, and go from there. So that does put a little bit less stress on, first of all, the finances, because it does cost. I did a breakdown on that post, for the postage and how, what we would save. It ended up being about $76, but again, we're very small. We have a very small budget. I mean, and we're not asking for a lot, so where we can cut corners, we do. So if we can save $76, that literally goes to either payroll or server hosting and stuff like that, storage. So that's the only reason why. Now, I did mention the labor costs. Obviously, I don't get paid. So it is 8 hours every single time that I do that. Now, again, I do a bunch of stuff for the company, a bunch of meetings. So that 8 hours does go somewhere. It has to fit somewhere. We all have the same 24 hours, right? But mine, I feel like, is lesser. But please vote on that poll. It's anonymous. It doesn't hurt. We'll do the same amount of stickers. It'll be 2 stickers. Instead of monthly, it'll just be 2 stickers every 2 months. It'll be the same way. We'll reveal them the same way. We'll send it out the same way. I'll always make sure that everyone's getting their stickers and stuff. If I have to resend it, I will. So it'll be the same way. If you want it to be monthly, if that's what you're in it for, choose monthly. Vote on monthly. I can't complain. The fact that you're supporting the company, I'm going to do whatever you folks think is best. Okay? So anyway, that's that. I wish I had the December sticker. It's literally in the mailbox. I'm so sorry. I would reveal it. I think I can show you I showed you on there, but I wish I could show you the size because we upped the size for the sticker. So, yeah. So basically that's what's going on with the sticker club. Literally everything I said is literally on the sticker club stuff, on the posts and the updates. So, nothing new really. Yeah. So, but anyway, for the last bit of this is the roadmap. So with the roadmap, we posted our quarterly roadmap, which is our first quarterly one that we ever posted because we just didn't know what was going to happen with the company. As most of you probably already know, we had made an announcement on our newsletter that we were going to stop development in December. Clearly that didn't happen, but that was what the course of it was. That's what was going to happen, In our October newsletter, we had said, hey, we're not able to, we're not making enough. We don't have enough revenue to continue going. We're not making our monthly budget. This is what was going to happen, And then November came and boom, everything changed. So it's kind of crazy, that really is crazy. But that's what happened. So anyway, it's how we do things right now, and hopefully we can change that in the course of this, year. With doing an annual drive and everything else like that. And hopefully we won't have to keep doing annual drives. Hopefully we'll just be able to make enough, from our own revenue, to be able to do things like this, without having to depend on a drive or worry about money and stuff like that, and just be able to do what we're here for, and to make a home for creatives and artists and animators and everyone. We really want to just do that. Like, I'm not trying to make this a corporation or, make a living off of this. Like, I would rather work on my racing company and do this, in between that, and literally just, like, I don't want a 401k from doing this. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want this to be, the budget is met and we develop and we work, and that's it. Like, no one is like getting rich off of this. We're literally doing this so that we have a home and it's ours, and that's it. That is what I want. That is why the budget is important, but it's not asking for more. It's literally asking for what it is so that we can do our job, create a home for our peers and our community, and that is it. No one's getting rich off of this. Because the moment that we start talking about wealthy and wealth and rich and everything, that's when we become a corporation, and that's when things go sideways. And you already know how that has gone with DeviantArt, people not listening because they're only in it for the money, or ArtStation, they're only in it for the money, whatever, right? We're community funded, community owned, and community oriented. That's it. We're only doing the bare minimum. because that's how this will stay here forever. You know what I mean? So anyway, the roadmap, right? Okay, so the quarterly roadmap is basically what we're working on, focusing on. It's what we're it's like not detailed. It's basically like, okay, here's a system that we're working on, right? So that roadmap is we're working on currently right now is profiles, making sure that we're sprucing that up, making sure that those look good, rearranging a few things. We're working on UI, UX. I think I have spoken to a UI UX designer that would volunteer some time monthly. Hopefully that is still going. Hopefully that's still happening. That's how these things go. And then obviously, we're working on the commission system, the tip jar system. We're working on the speed. Again, I spent a lot of time earlier talking about the infrastructure. That's something that we're working on. So, there's nothing, that roadmap is not like detailed as specifics, but things that we're like, okay, we finished this. Now what's next? We have a set amount of things that we're working on. This is what we're working on. What within this category can we do? Can we improve? Can we add? Things like that. So that way we constantly have something that we're, an agenda essentially that we're like focused on. That way we're not all over the place. That's how that goes. So, that it's very important to have a plan. Essentially with the finances, our biggest thing is making our quota for about 3%. If 3% of our user base of 23,000, if 3% of them were able to, do the pro membership, $3 a month, it meets our budget. That's what we do. Anything more than that is literally would allow us to hire on another developer. Anything more than that would allow us to be able to plan and have a tool that is satisfied for an annual price. It all goes right back into, but 3% is what we're looking at. And I'll tell you what 3% is. 3% is 600 to 700 members. That's it, out of 23,000 users. Yeah. So that's it. So, we have our stuff. We do what we can. And we focus on that stuff. That's why finances gets its own focus, that 3% rule, that 3% conversion rate, whatever. And then the roadmap, same thing. We have our set categories that we focus on, set systems, and we move on from there. So right now we're working on all of that. And I'll grab that map for you so that we can have a visual of what I'm talking about. Hopefully I can find it quickly. I'm like the worst. Like I should have had this up. I'm so sorry. Let's see. But in terms of like how like that roadmap is going, like we have and why we focus on these tiers, or not these tiers, these topics and categories and systems so much is because we know that most of our stuff is on most of our users are on the web app. That's like a no-brainer. We can tell already. Here, let me share my screen really quick. There we go. All right, so yeah, this is via Twitter because this is the fastest way I could find it. And basically, yeah, so this is the quarterly roadmap that I'm talking about. Back in December, so current would have been November, December, we were working on the two-step authentication system. That's already out, done. We're kind of working on the bugs that we still see from that, but it's majority, 90% working for 90% of our users. Great. The bug fixing and improving speed and indexing, that's the infrastructure that I was talking about. Accessibility, we've been working on that. We had accessibility stream. It went great. I still have my notes on that. I still already put certain things into the pipeline for that, so that we're able to constantly keep adding certain things so that we can make sure that we are accessible. The site is accessible. The app is accessible. We just went ahead in our latest update for the mobile app. We went ahead and added the site skin or the site themes. that was one of our biggest steps, is making sure that people can change the font for our dyslexia folks. We're able to change the colors for those that might think it's an eye strain, things like that. So we went ahead, launched that as soon as possible, and now we're working on the next few things that we have on our list there. The tip jar system and membership system, that we'll probably see towards the end. We're literally just getting our membership system all, our subscription system all set, trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way we could do this. And so we're just getting started on the tip jar system. But again, that infrastructure is very important. So that might be towards the end of this month that we start working on that tip jar and stuff like that. We are introducing like gifting subscriptions to other users, just like, I don't know if you're familiar, but with like Discord, you can gift somebody a Nitro or something like that. Something similar, a concept basically. Resources and assets directory, that's something that we'll be pushing back into a little bit into February, because that's a new thing. If you think about it, it's like Pocket, not Pocket, I'm sorry, DA Stash. We want to call this Pocket or Pod. I'm between the two. If you have any input on that, let me know. But when I first made InkBlot back almost 3 years ago, it was a Pocket, and basically, essentially, you put your sketches in there, you put like little miscellaneous files. What we would do is we would create another subscription tier that would allow for members to have Pocket, and would help pay for that, because that does put a handle on storage. But it's like DA Stash, where you're able to share little sketches or share files, and it wouldn't affect your gallery. So yeah, there'll be more on that when we start, when I start releasing the, concepts on that. But for right now, that's something that we're adding to it in the assets directory, would be like uploading Clip Studio brushes, uploading Procreate brushes, and things like that. That's a no-brainer. Again, that's just something we have to worry about with storage, right? Okay. Again, it's something that I have to look at all sides of this. So, that would probably be only accessible to pro members. Given the situation, there's some things that just have to be behind the membership system. I'm so sorry. Profile customization, that'll be a little bit later into February. We know that's a big thing that will also be for only pro members as well. The Your Character Here auction and downloadables, again, that will probably be just something that pro members can do. Downloadables is the storage thing, but it's just like maybe not too bad of a storage thing. So that's why I'm kind of on the fence on where that will be. Auctions and Your Character Here's, would love for that to be a free option for all users. I think that is really essential. I think that the only biggest thing with that is the bidding system. That's why it'll probably take a little longer. Improving the webcomic and commission system, a big one, yes, a really big one. We want to improve that, make sure that it's better. There's a couple of ideas that I have for that, especially the webcomic. I know on the feedback board, they tore me a new one, which was great, because the webcomic system hasn't had enough love. And we'll be working on that and making sure that folks are able to do that, able to put their comic on there. Simplifying the UI, adding setting toggles during site up, tooltips. We're working on that as well. That's something that is for the long run. Profile types, we kind of moved that up a little bit with our portfolio layout, but we're gonna work on that even more so for the specific types of creatives. So anyway, this is our roadmap. That's just a little bit more of a breakdown, a little bit more insight on what we're working on. But this tells you like what we're working on, the plan for the development team. So, any questions with that, you can obviously feel free to say. So anyway, so that was that. I'm nearing the end of my time here, because these usually last an hour and a half. Almost 2 sometimes, but pretty much this is the Q&A portion. So if anybody submitted anything, I'll be logging in over there to go see. Let's see. Hopefully we got some, and if we don't, then it happens. It's like getting out of school early. All right, we got 9 submissions. All right, cool. Okay, cool. And I will review all those ratings later. All right. All right. Okay. So, all right. So what we got here is, again, these are all anonymous, so it's not like I know who said what or anything. I do put a disclaimer out there that sometimes, if the topic or the question is something that's like kind of diverting away from what we're talking about or doing, I won't say it. So, it's if unfortunately we do get some people that submit things that are like abusive to the form, just a way to get under my skin or get under the team's skin, just submitting something that will try to stop me from talking or get me upset in any way. Of course, I don't read those. So if that's what you were out here for, I'm not going to give you the time of day. So, any features or community suggested features you're excited about exploring and or adding? Let me bring up the feedback board because there's a few that I really like. And again, the feedback board is really important. It's something that I am always browsing. We bring it up during our development meetings. It would be the commission showcase. That was something that we really worked on via social media, really. But we also talked about it in the server, the Discord server. If you're not familiar with the Discord server, we do have a server. I'm not always in there, but I do get in there enough. We talked about it briefly in the general chat, but we mostly talked about it on social media. I was pretty excited for that. And also someone suggested an axe box, kind of like the old Tumblr days, or what people use now is like retro spring or a curious cat. I really think that would help with in interaction. I think that in being able to interact in more different ways would be really cool. A suggested feature thing was a portfolio layout. We expedited that right away when people felt when there seemed to be a demand for that. That was something I'm really excited about. We're still working on that. We're going to add industry tags, basically, for those that want to, freelancers or professionals or people that want to show up in a different way. And those will be searchable. The developer, he's really excited about that too. And we'll be adding that soon. Pretty much the suggestions, something that some people were like mentioning during one of our Q&A streams was like, hey, maybe you should give a list of suggestions for when you first sign up. I'm really excited about that. I really want to be able to offer a list of different folks, give some more light to everybody get their light when someone first signs on. And imagine, like, if we get 50 people that sign up a day, and your name pops up on that list, like, that's really cool. That's more exposure for you. You know what I mean? That puts you on the front line and in the spotlight, be found by somebody else, rather than, it just helps out. So, designing how that's going to work and who's going to be suggested won't be based off of popularity, but rather it would just be more randomized. It'll be something that the user, so like, okay, if I'm a new user or I just signed up, basically, okay, these are the categories that I like. Okay, cool. So let's have the system basically suggest artists that are in this category. That way, it's kind of like suggesting some people, users or people that are more like going towards that niche that you provide art for, or provide other creative works towards. That way, it's not like a complete stranger that has no idea, like, why are you making this? Like, it would be somebody a category that you posted. So I'm excited about that as well. But yeah, that's a really good idea. And also, I'm pretty excited about trying to, once we finish our infrastructure stuff, we'll be working with Postyburb. I don't know, it's a familiar to you. Basically, it's a scheduler, outside scheduler tool that a person has made. It's been around for quite a while. We've been in contact with him, and basically, It's been something that someone has suggested for a while. Um, People have been suggesting for a while, but we just weren't there. We had actually got denied at first because we were so young. But he actually reached out again back in November and was like, hey, I'm getting a lot of requests. Maybe we should work together. So I know that's been on hold for a while, but like I said, the infrastructure is very important. And then obviously we have to work with them and just want to make sure that we're the best speed possible so that APIs and talking to his servers are at the best. So yeah, so that's another thing that I'm excited for and going from there. So I'm tempted to call the tip jar the ink jar. Same. I just want to say thank you for all the team's hard work. I think this is a familiar name, Timrin, I think. But either way, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I'm really happy to be doing what I'm doing. I'm super proud to be at the helm of this and working with you all. I'm just being patient with the platform since I realize it takes time and resources. Hopefully the platform becomes less clunky in the future. Yeah, the word clunky has been around for quite a while for us. So, but I'll be honest. If you had been here in the earlier days, we would like the definition of clunky. Yeah, like this is the best it's ever been. But development does take years. Yeah. So getting back to the questions here. Sorry, I'm trying to hit the chat and questions here. Let's see. I can't imagine how much work has been put into the site since November, and I admire all the work that's been done by the InkBlot team. Long may it continue. Oh, okay, this was just a nice comment. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, literally hours of work. I think November, I actually lost 5 pounds because I was doing meetings, I was doing training, hiring, trying to handle all of the social media influx, trying to handle all the new users. We had like every week we were hitting like 250 plus tickets for the account stuff. It was absolutely wild. It took us a month after training and hiring on the volunteer team for the moderation team. It took us a month to get through all the reports and get back to everybody. It was just, wow, that was super a lot. But now we're on top of things. We're way on top of things. We're good. But yeah, it was a lot of work. Thank you for that nice comment. Plans for updating posts with more files, not replacing. Plans for updating posts with more files, not replacing. Oh yeah. That's that was basically, yeah. That's something that we have in the works. It's a speed thing, and it just would have messed up. It would have been a mess. So it's there. It's, again, this infrastructure is very important. And with the database talking to each other, and that's like, you have to think about it. Okay, so user posts 4 photos, right? And then user wants to add more to this. Now we need to talk to the database to get that post, get those 4 images. Now update that submission to add, let's say you add 2 more images, right? To be able to add more. Update the post, make sure that you save that, and now edit. So it's a whole lot of talking from between the front end to the back end to the database and everything else like that. So it is something that we have on the dev board, and I can show you the dev board. Again, this is like the Townhall is just like everything. Oh, am I? Okay, cool. The Townhall is just like, I show you guys everything. So, this is what I'm here to do. Okay, cool. And there's nothing on here that's like crazy or like that I shouldn't be showing you, because if that was the case, we would already fixed it by now. But yeah, let me see. Where do I get to that? Okay, cool. Gameplay. Okay, so this is the development board. This is what it looks like. We essentially, if you're not familiar with any like development workflows, this is what we talk about. This is what we look at all the time. When you send bug reports, it goes here. So this does look like, everything here does look like it's just this, but then we also go down. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. So it's like everything, what we're in progress, what needs to be reviewed after we've thought we fixed it, what's already done. This is pretty much the bread and butter of the development team. What's on hold, what are we looking at, things like that. So this is where those bug reports go. And then we categorize them, prioritize them, and things like that. So, yeah, that's what this looks like. So anyway, let me see. But yeah, that one particular thing with adding more images, that's definitely that whole post area, the whole upload area is gonna get a whole revamp. After infrastructure, because it's like the most visited spot. And it's also just needs some love. It also just needs some updates after we do what we need to do. But that particular thing is really important, especially with single posts. Single posts are the only ones that can be replaced or updated. And we'll go from there. Are there? But yeah, great question. Perhaps there will be more programmers on the team in the future. Since you said there are only 2 of you, perhaps information is outdated. Yeah, it's just me and the other one. I mean, I consider myself part of the development team because without being able to talk to you, development would stall. Development is essentially different positions other than just coding. But yeah, this information is perhaps there will be more programmers in the team in the future. Yeah, we're hoping. With the more support that we get, the more we can hire on more people. But again, I don't want to like hire somebody on and we can't handle that payroll. Would you ever consider anything like how old DA allowed all users to edit HTML, CSS aspects of their profile? Or would that be something a little too ambitious given servers and all? So we had that. So a lot of you, and I do see some old heads in here, that a lot of you are probably new to us and we're new to you. But back when we were in the Kickstarter, so almost a little over a year ago now, when we were in closed beta, we had HTML and CSS. Yeah, we did. If you go to your settings and you see the profile layout, it was a separate option from the default. It allowed you to have widgets, everything. Yeah, it was there. The only thing with that was it was the security issue. It was just we don't have enough team or enough development team to be able to look out for vulnerabilities within that HTML CSS stuff. So it is on the feedback board for profile customization. It is definitely something that we have planned. It's just we're too small. So we have talked about widgets, as you saw in that roadmap that I showed you earlier. In roadmap, and that those widgets would be more under our control. So we're trying to get back to widgets, but in a different way. We would offer like widgets that are preset that you can choose from. Users can submit requests like, hey, I want to see a widget that's like this, blah, blah, blah. Things like that. But HTML, CSS, it does cause room for vulnerabilities, and we just can't afford that. We just won't be doing that. So that's the only reason why. But yes, we were there. We dabbled in that. We were doing that. We were. But we had to take it away. From September, what was the month-to-month on growth InkBlot expected? There was naturally a huge jump in the number of users for November to December, but how was it averaged out since then? Patreon and Ko-Fi offer higher tiers pro memberships than the site itself does. Is there any thought towards offering this directly on the site as well, keeping the physical rewards as possible? Okay. So from month to month, we were seeing. So we started the year at about like 2,200 users. Um, the year of 2022. Yeah, after the Kickstarter, we had a bunch. Um, After that, we were jumping from between June and September or October. I'm sorry. We went up to 4,000. Um, November, the beginning of November, we were hitting 5,000. So you can kind of see that the growth was slow, but still going. The growth was very slow before June because we were in closed beta. It was invite only. We went into open beta September. So between September and October, we hit we jumped about like 15,000 users. I mean 1,500. I'm sorry. So that was how that growth was. Even now, we're still seeing about a thousand a month, more than that sometimes. Yeah. As you can imagine, we hit 20,000 in the early December, and now we're approaching 23,000. So if that gives you an idea of how much. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting this question. I should have more numbers on that. Patreon and Ko-Fi offer higher tiers and pro memberships in the site itself. So yeah, so we're gonna add. So with that, the higher tiers are because so that $5 tier, the $10 tier is because that physical reward system, the address, collecting addresses and stuff like that, that is the only reason why we don't have that type of system on the native site. Now with the devlogs and everything, we just got that, but that's all still digital rewards and everything. So we can't offer physical rewards because there would be no real way to track the address, the address system, and the physical rewards. That's the only reason why they're not on there. In the future, yeah, we should do that, but I want to focus on the development part of it, and you know, it's just hard to really try to divert your time when you only have two people on the development side of things. You know, even when we get the opportunity to hire on another developer, that person would literally be dedicated to mobile apps. Like there's already a plan for when we get another developer, and that would be one person on web, one person on mobile app, and literally doing that, because again, those two things are different. They update differently. There's different issues with different ones, and right now currently our developer does everything. So that's why when we update the web app, then the mobile app takes like another week later. So there's already a plan for when we get more developers, and I don't really see it being too much attention on trying to offer the physical rewards through the native site, only because we have the Ko-Fi right now, and it could be done the same way. Good question, though. Is open sourcing things and allowing volunteer code something that ever would be considered? Now I know open source has its own things, and that, you know, my thing is that that could very well cause a lot of issues, especially like I know we're not going at the fastest pace, but it could very well cause issues, and I don't know if I want to risk that. The people that are vetted to do development are people that I trust and have been working with for a long time. I just don't know if I don't know if that would be even something that should and would happen. I haven't really thought about open sourcing. There is its own vulnerabilities and cons that come with that, and there is obviously the pros. Um, yeah, I haven't had a lot of thought about that, because I am just so I don't want anything to go wire. I really don't. I think that I feel like security issue. I really do. And I also feel like there could be holes in the rate of development with that. I've seen other startups or smaller people that are trying to do the same thing as us. I've seen them try to do volunteer stuff, and it just doesn't work out. There is really there really is. I have examined enough peers and competitors over the last coming up on 3 years that I would never hire a volunteer developer. It's just not enough reliability with that. And that's, to be quite honest, that's the reason why we've even made it this far, is because we pay people. But yeah, open source it's very something that I would have to do more research on. But I just don't. I have my mentor, because again, I'm an artist that literally learned to code just for this sole reason. InkBlot is literally why I learned to code. My mentor gave me all of everything, told me everything, what I could possibly do. We're still in touch right now. And I just talked to him about open source, and he's told me like, oh, well, you could. And he's super big on open source. But I just told him, I expressed to him my concerns and everything. And he was just like, it's probably not needed. Then you shouldn't, especially if you don't feel comfortable about that. So, yeah. But great question, though. Very, very good question. My whole thing is just security, reliability, efficiency. Again, this is a community owned and funded project and company. But, there is some things that I'm going to step in and be like, no, like absolutely not. That deviates. I've done enough research. I still do my research on competitors and things. And it's a no from me. The volunteer and the open source stuff. I'm very cautious about that. And I feel like if my gut feeling is that it's a no, I'm going to go with that so far, because we've been doing just fine, with how we've been doing things. I know that open source could potentially allow us to go faster, but I'm not going to take that risk. Maybe if we started out as open source and things were going good, but we made it this far without it, and without volunteer developers. Good question, though. Very good question. Very good concept. I'm glad that you asked. I would like to know if you plan on adding more tools for writers, or at least expand the character limit on post again, because it said again. I'm not being sassy. Because 6,000 characters is barely anything for writing chapter fiction. I know this has been suggested on suggestion pages, but I'm really passionate about it, so I wanted to bring it up to your attention again. So I mean, we have folks literally on the moderation team that remind me about this all the time. My thing with this is literally just UI, UX. Like, of course, I could literally, like right now, I could open the gates and put 100,000 characters if I really wanted to. But will the UI be able to handle that? Will it look pretty? Do we have the formatting for that? No, we don't have the formatting for that. So no, it's not that I don't want to or that we don't want to. It's literally that is the site at the point to be able to handle 30,000 character fic? No, it's not. I would rather sink my time into that. And again, the profile, the roadmap that I showed earlier, where it says writers, musicians, profile types. I want to be able to offer something rather than, excuse my French, but half-ass it. So when we do come to that, to the writers portion, we're going to go full in. We're going to go all in on it. Like, offer chapter navigation, offer, books, offer, and I talked about this before, like a bookshelf, offer so that when we come to a writer's profile, they have their own thing. They have their book covers, they have their book summaries, they have, what have you, series, epilogue, whatever. I want to go all in. I don't want to half-ass anything. But trust me, there's people even on the team that are looking out for you folks that are writers. Don't worry about it. I'm reminded almost daily. Any features or, yeah, we answered that one. Will InkBlot be hosting events outside of the Discord? Will there be more events in the server? I think events really help build communities and make the space fun. So, little insight. I think all the paperwork's finalized as of last week. I think I had to sign off on it. But we actually got a community assistant manager. One of our support team members is going to be acting as kind of like a little bit of support, but a little bit of an assistant manager for the community stuff. So yes, we will be doing events now that we have somebody that can dedicate the time. Basically, again, I was the only one. I do a lot of stuff. But I spoke to this individual. They will be doing that with us or with me in organizing. Literally, we have a meeting like this coming week about all the events that we are going to be planning for the platform and even for Discord, off on social medias as well. And yeah. So we do have it. I know that our Secret Santa in the Discord went really well. It went fantastic. And I do understand that it does help build communities and make the space fun, because that was really fun to watch. And I do feel bad that I haven't had the time to dedicate my attention towards the events that we could have on the platform, but it is something that I've been in the works with, trying to get the help to do so. So we just finalized that literally last week or the week before, and we're having our meeting, so it's already in the process. Good question to ask. Yeah, that was great. Let me see. Any other questions? I think we kind of flew by those a little quickly than I thought, but that's okay. Let me see. Just want to make sure that I got to everybody here. And if there's any questions in the chat, let me see. I think we're okay. If you have any questions, you can drop it in there. But I think we're good. Of course, this always comes out with being about 2 hours. Like, I can never avoid it. But there's so much to cover, and we only have these like every quarter, which, if you don't know, that's every 3 months. So it's so much to cover, and I try to make sure that we get everything, and everyone walks away feeling informed, feeling good, and try to make sure we get everything done. By not being in closed beta, I think would be a bigger and more successful drive. That's a very good point, Istrom. And hi, I kind of, it's a familiar username to me. Open source is good when you know what you're doing, aware of the risk, more successful, and able to manage and mitigate it. Yes. And my thing is that we want to be able to have like developers on all hours. Right now, our developer is only like, he works at night while I'm asleep. Like, imagine if we have systems in place and notifications in place to sound the alarm if anything were to go off. And, imagine if I'm asleep when something happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, luckily he's there and he's awake. He gets the same notifications. But like, what if so I'd rather not risk any security. We're tight. We're tight on the lock here. We're really tight here. I appreciate your concern for security. It really shows how you're doing stuff different from other sites. People developed distrust for because of security and other decisions. Yeah. Yeah. That was, like I said, I do a lot of research. I'm really big on listening to the community and figure out what's going on and what they're talking about. And just kind of, not being nosy, but like, trying to learn from the mistakes of others, that came before us, or, that are trying to do the same thing as us. It's very important for that. I'm a person that does not like to learn the hard way. I would rather, if I can keep myself or prevent myself from bumping my head, then I will wear a hard hat. I don't need to learn the hard way. That's all. The bookshelf idea sounds fantastic. Yes, let's go, writers. Yeah. So yeah. I'm looking out for you folks. I just need to make sure that I'm updating it all in one go. And we spend the time that we need, instead of, just putting something out there that's like, oh, well, this sucks, but, then it won't see another update for like forever. Like, might as well just like whole package of updates, bug fix all of that, and then we get feedback about that. That's why the feedback is so important. But I'm just gonna give the form one more gander. Make sure. Did I forget anything? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. We just got some feedback. Okay, cool. This one wasn't a question. Okay, cool. Alrighty then. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't have anything, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for submitting those questions and topics and stuff like that. It does really bring back to light some things that perhaps I forgotten, or that's been, as you saw, the bug board further down on the list, and stuff like that. But it's definitely good to hear and see from hear from everyone. You can give us a follow here on this channel, so that you'll know when we do our next quarterly town hall. But we also are going to do a follow up on the Q&A. I'm going to try to have a Q&A every month from now on, just to make sure that we're there's something in between the town halls and everything. Of course, also gaining more feedback as well using that form. Despite the feedback board constantly being there, I'll do another anonymous form and stuff like that. Just as a heads up, folks, the newsletter did change from Revu to SendGrid. There will be settings in this next update. The next web app update should be tomorrow. And basically, you'll be able to go into your settings, and if you want the newsletter, you don't want the newsletter. If you want to be notified about platform service updates, which would include like, hey, we changed our content guidelines, we updated our privacy policy, things like that. That is service announcements. If you want to get those too, you can, or you can cut them all off. I know you don't like an email, then that's fine. We'll have that in the settings. That way, better communication. It also is data compliance as well. So we need to have those. I try to make sure that we're up to date on all of that. So what's the best way to sub to the pro version? Website, Ko-Fi, or Patreon? Okay, so website is going to be basically, you'll get the dev logs, you'll get the polls now, because we'll be doing all of the digital rewards, so things like that, the vlogs and stuff. We'll be doing all of that via Substack, who is basically, it's kind of like a newsletter system. It is actually a newsletter